R is to go forward? Or no, R
No.
is to go back?
The one on the bottom, the butt end is the fat end. It's the bottom one that moves it forward. The middle one moves it backwards. And the other one is the laser pointer that you shouldn't be using.
Okay, but I can't.
And don't steal it.
Yeah, and
I'm gonna
don't-
use the podium too. Let me just.
No, I never got the other remote. I don't know what happened to it. It just vanished.
It's terrible.
Do you think I could go after him because I took it early?
Put them in order.
Alright, I'll find it. I just gave it to you right now. Mine's crinkled. Thank you.
14.5 million cars in the state of California alone. That's like roughly a lot of cars, pretty much. That's good for DMV, they make a lot of money off of all of us, and good for maintenance, we make a lot of money too. But what it's not good for is the environment. And of that 14.5 million cars, there's only roughly hundreds of thousands of zero-emission cars, which are like hybrids, electric vehicles, and other sources of fuels, different fuel source vehicles. What I wanted to talk to you guys today about was the different, what I want to explain to you guys is the benefits of using hydrogen as a fuel source for automobiles. I will break that down in the what, how, and why, pretty much. Oh, sorry. Alright, so what are the benefits of using hydrogen in cars? What is hydrogen? Hydrogen is going to be a gas. I'll go into more detail in a second. How does the hydrogen system work? I'll break that down for you. And why use hydrogen for cars? And we'll go through all of that right now. Okay, first of all, what is hydrogen? Hydrogen is a highly flammable element that is composed, its atomic number is 1 on the periodic table. What that means is that it's on the periodic table is broken up into different elements. It's on the gas side, and it bonds with a lot of other different elements. So it's a really useful element. Not only that, but it's also the most abundant element in the universe. So it's like there's a lot of it, not a lot of gas. We're running out of gas actually. So gas comes from oil, running out of oil. You know, oil is very limited. Hydrogen is it's a difficult element to work with because you have to have it really pressurized. So when you go to use the hydrogen for the cars that are coming out with hydrogen, there's 2 types of hydrogen pumps on the one single pump at the gas station, which mind you is $1 million for just one little pump. The whole gas station is not even $1 million. Well, it is now, but for one little pump, it's $1 million. So 2 of them, there's H35, which is a lower pressurized hydrogen that is used for bigger vans. So a lot of big buses and stuff are starting to use hydrogen to power them, and they take less pressurized hydrogen than a smaller car, which needs H70, which is a highly pressurized amount of hydrogen. So how does the hydrogen vehicle work? So hydrogen bonds with oxygen that is pulled in from the air in a vehicle, and it mixes with the oxygen to create chemical energy. That chemical energy is that chemical energy is used to generate electrical energy inside of a fuel cell. A fuel cell is like a combination of, it's kind of difficult to explain, but it's like 3 metal sheets, and the hydrogen is on the left, oxygen is in the middle, right in between is a way for the hydrogen to mix with the oxygen. That mixture creates chemical energy, the bonding. The chemical energy is used to get electrical energy, and then there's an electric motor in the front of the car, and that electrical energy is used to power the electrical motor. So that electrical motor propels everything pretty much. So hydrogen and water, as you know, everyone's here probably taking chemistry. H2O makes water. So what you get from that combination is an exhaust of water. So actually in the hydrogen cars, there's a button for H2O, and it literally just pees out the water real quick, you know? And it's zero emissions, so that's a bonus. Other than that, the electrical motor is, it's not too much maintenance on it, so it's a pretty useful way to get around. Alright, so why use hydrogen powered vehicles? Number one, carbon is really dangerous in the environment. It destroys the ozone layer and other different issues that we're having already with climate change. So adding on to that with carbon coming out of regular exhausts from vehicles, it's really dangerous. Don't get me wrong, I love the gas cars, not hating, but water is just the exhaust of this car. It's a zero emissions car, and it's just pretty much self-explanatory. It helps the environment. The only thing, the only issue with hydrogen cars right now is the limited supply of hydrogen. So because it does cost $1 million per pump, there is an issue with supply. So there's actually an app, so you can check, what gas stations have some. So, So there are a few incentives. So California is actually pushing for people to start buying hydrogen cars because they are better for the environment. They are, they do save you money. So actually, if you go to the dealership, like Toyota, for example, the Toyota Mirai, California will give you a $5,000 rebate for buying the car. The down payment is going to be $5,000 if you want to finance it, so kind of freebie. Then whatever your finance agreement is. They also give you $10,000 on a Visa card so that you can fill up at the gas stations for the certain pumps. Also, if you break down anywhere, they'll tow you for free. They'll give you a rental for 20 days. So there's a big push for these hydrogen cars to get out there, and there's a lot of incentives being offered. Toyota's not the only one that is offering these. Honda does have some vehicles, but hydrogen, it's a useful element to just get you going, and it is expensive right now. So you're looking at so each hydrogen car can hold up to 5 kilograms of hydrogen. Each kilogram gives you 60 miles. So 5 times 6, 300 miles. Each kilogram is a bit pricey right now. It's $16. So that's why they give you $10,000 for free. There is a big push from the state of California. They actually put $200 million into it to get the price down to almost $2 to $3. So you're looking at $10 for 300 miles, which is, there's a Prius that does the same almost, but they're trying to get it lower too. So those are two of the cars right now. Carsales.com, the statistics on the sales. Mirai has sold almost 5,000 cars in the US, and the Honda Clarity has done almost 3. So they do look pretty ugly, don't get me wrong, but they are useful. So that's it.
Oh, yeah, we decided that Edwin's not here, so I guess I'll just talk.
Well, wait a second, let me see. Well, that doesn't work. That's too complicated. I like the statistic on the number of cars at the beginning, and then I like the comparison with the number of zero emission vehicles. I think you could probably give us a source citation on that too. The thesis is okay, so your goal is pretty clearly stated, and there's a little bit of a justification there. You preview what the main points are going to be. It's a series of questions, so that's that's pretty basic. It's okay. It's easy to follow for the most part. You've got a definition of what the hydrogen process is. I guess the only difference that I can tell between the H35 and the H70 is that one has to work under higher pressure than the other. There may be a difference in the chemical component also, but that's not really explained. It sounded like it was all about the pressure difference and why one works with larger vehicles and one works with passenger cars. It wasn't quite clear to me why they would do it that way. And the other thing is, I'm not sure, is one more expensive than the other? Is one more efficient than the other? That was a little bit unclear. And so since you bothered to explain that a difference exists, I was kind of hoping that there would be a little bit more explanation of what that difference means. I didn't hear a lot of citation of sources at the beginning of the speech. There was one citation toward the end of the presentation that I thought was helpful when you were talking about the number of vehicles that are being sold. You mentioned the two brands that you have up there as an example that you described as ugly, which I don't know that they're particularly ugly.
They're pretty ugly.
But is the ugliness of the vehicle inherent in the way the engine operates? I just think that that's a design issue. I'm not sure what their problem is. I guess the general rule is always the first generation of these alternative fuel cars have to be the ugliest possible car you can find to discourage people from actually buying them. Maybe that's what the theory is. I'm not sure. You talked about the incentives for people getting these cars, and I thought that you listed those pretty effectively. The visuals in the presentation, they don't add much. What they basically do is organize the information. It's basically a skeletal outline of what your speech is. It helps you in talking about it so you're not overly dependent on the script, because you can always remind yourself what the next thing you're talking about is by turning over your shoulder and looking, because you've got it outlined right there. But it doesn't really help us understand anything. Like you said earlier, the hydrogen process is a little complicated. You mentioned fuel cells, and I thought, okay, well, how about an illustration of how the fuel cell works and what it's supposed to do? That might have made more sense than just listing, the bullet points in your section on one of the supporting points. Let's see. The thing that I think you have most going for you is that you talk to us. You actually engage us. You're looking at us most of the time. You seem to know your subject pretty well, which always gives you some credibility, and the fact that you're not overly dependent on the script also helps that kind of thing. And until the end, when we get the same, I'm sorry if I sound unsatisfied, I am unsatisfied. The same lame exit, yeah, well, that's it. This is the Porky Pig exit that I told you guys to avoid, and we're getting those kinds of things too. So you didn't do the same problem. We didn't have the same problem with the attention device, but we are having the same problem with the exit at the end. So think about that as well. All right, I'll stop there.